There's been a lot of stuff on Facebook, a lot of stuff. And, when you're running for a political office, of course, you have people, you kind of open yourself to that. And that's fine. But when you start dragging other folks into it, family, business, it really becomes an issue. And the reason I say that is because our employees, our 60 employees deserve the right not to be criticized, not to be scrutinized. And it's really took a toll on us. So, since all this stuff was on Facebook, I decided to do the truth, put it to the people, and all these issues. So I hired an investigation firm, and they're out of Greensboro. And unfortunately, the gentleman, Mr. David Shelton, is not with us tonight because he is really ill with flu. But anyway, so what I've had done, I took a lot of the questions that was put on Facebook and a lot of allegations, and I had him to investigate this. So he has put this in a form, and basically what we're doing here is a lot of the blogs that were put on by Rick Morris, a lot of the accusations that were made, I had him to go through. He picked those out. So, and he done an investigation. So we're going to find out what's true and what's not true. Thank you.
What we're doing is they wanted to read the report, and I basically, as your moderator said, I think it would take too much time, but they have a PowerPoint presentation, and I think would shorten it up so we're not here at midnight. Don't you agree, Sheriff? A lot easier to see the pictures than it is to see the writing and read the writing and ask questions. So the floor is yours for the PowerPoint, sir.
We'll just put it up there, but just go ahead and put it all the questions.
Bathrooms where they came in. Who's Larry?
It don't make any difference.
Okay. Give us a 30-second, well, 40-second break. Hope she had changed for the bathroom door. It's up to them.
And the information in this report has been put together by David Shelton of Advanced Technology Investigations, LLC. The report states facts verified from the public records and community members of Stokes County. The persons interviewed here have had firsthand knowledge of the topics listed in this report. The investigation was conducted for the good of the community to inform the residents of decisions and actions of the commissioners running for election. This report includes a section from the Stokes County Commissioners Code of Ethics that each elected commissioner is lawfully obligated to follow in accordance with the statutory bylaws. The Stokes County bylaws are the rules and laws to help you understand and determine if the commissioners running in this election have had a responsible record of managing and running the commission with the utmost integrity and openness and fairness, as expected by the people who voted them into office. An excerpt from the Code of Ethics for Stokes County Commissioners is included in this report. Reference links are provided to the public record inserts within this report. I'm gonna skip the next little paragraph and go to section C, which is Riverstreet Networks. 'Cause we've already done the hospital. Section C is Riverstreet, it's the Wilkes Communications. The background on this is Rick Morris repeatedly pushed an agenda for contracts with Wilkes Communications, the Riverstreet, has a contract with Stokes County to provide internet services throughout the entire Stokes County area. Riverstreet has been awarded $3.4 million and has required 579 Stokes County customers out of 45,000 residents. Riverstreet has failed to meet deadlines of the contract. The math for expenses paid by taxpayers has cost approximately $5,073 per Riverstreet customer in Stokes County.
While she's pulling this up, originally, I presume the investigator was supposed to hear to answer questions and answers, and that's why we're not having it, because he was the investigator, he has the facts. I don't know. This is the first time I'm reading this. So it's not really fair. So you'll see questions and answers on this printed version, but for the sake of time, we just want to go ahead and reveal the topics, I guess. That's what you're doing. And so if you see questions and answers, if somebody's following along with this, that's why we're not having it, because the investigator's not here, he's sick. Actually is COVID, I believe, so.
What do y'all want me to do next? Do y'all want me to go to D?
Well, like I say,
Is
just,
there copies to hand out to us? Thank you.
I don't have any copies. I mean, this was given to me, so.
I mean, this is kind of frustrating. Yeah, we all need a copy.
I'll give you mine.
Thank you. I'll take pictures of it and whoever wants to keep it.
Ignore my notes on the back. It's supposed to be my dinner menu. You need more copies? I got two.
what you want to do is this list it. Yeah, you need to read all of that. Yeah, everything all the way down, so you do a first and you do another one.
We just done that.
We just done that, so like I said, you're gonna get the scheduling answers, you just read it right out. Well, you know, if we don't, then we go on here, and like I said, I told them that panic, but do whatever you need to do, whatever he thinks, and if we don't, we're gonna have to be more investigated. Just announce what we'll do since it's in this, since it's in here. We'll go ahead and we'll do this, another meeting, or we'll do it with him, the live YouTube.
Okay, so I'm going to section D, questions of concern regarding Commissioner Rick Morris. A background: in 2017, while Rick Morris was county manager, the Francisco School was sold without consideration of other public bids. Other public bids in the amount of $44,000 with a 5-year loan with no interest if certain criteria was met. Another offer was presented for $75,000 and was not advertised to the public as an upset to the $44,000 bid. A retired inspector was hired to conduct the renovations and improvements to the property. The contractor received special privileges by being able to obtain work permits ahead of other contractors and expedite the opening of the renovated facility. When Rick Morris was county manager, he resigned early from the position in 2017. Rick Morris stated that he was taking early retirement for the position on public record. Rick Morris has a blog that gives the appearance of a political sabotage against anyone who does not agree with him instead of being objective for the county in which he holds an elected position. Rick Morris attempted to stop and coerce a new candidate from filing to run for commissioner's position right before the deadline to file on Friday, March 4th, 2022. Mr. Morris and one of his people kept stopping the new candidate in attempts to delay him so time would run out for him to be able to apply by the deadline on March 4th, 2022. The new candidate was offered to be taken out for a state dinner instead of going to the election office and to turn his application in to run for commissioner.
Damn, where do I sign up? Steak dinner?
What?
Yeah, that's a bunch of money now, ain't it?
Rick Morris objects to rule changes of orderly conduct of the meetings of April 28th Commissioners' meeting. Mr. Morris claims the changes on orderly conduct is flirting with First Amendment rights. When you read Rick Morris's blog, you can see he is attacking others instead of working together with his commission colleagues. Below is Rick Morris's response. I just don't agree with Ty, Morris responded. These are lawyer opinions. We're flirting with Constitution and First Amendment when we start doing this stuff. But the fact that we have authority to limit this stuff doesn't mean we should do it, in my opinion. I would definitely take out the comments should pertain to relevant matters within the board's authority and jurisdiction. That is controlling speech, limiting speech. No campaign speeches are permitted. I don't see why they can't have a campaign speech if they want to. I'm going to section 3. Rick Morris, more false claims. He is challenged and questioned about his own actions. On Rick Morris's blog, number 73, labeled, Response to Mr. Michael Lane's unsolicited advice on social media. Morris goes on a rant attempting to push false claims he knows are not true. Again, because he is being called out. Morris references a project, Lick Creek Solar Fencing Project, in which Tim Nicholson's company, Nicholson Fence Company, put in a bid on the project but did not get awarded the project. Andy Nicholson did not recuse himself from voting on this project as required in the bylaws. So there would...
He did recuse, excuse me.
Oh, he did. I apologize. He did recuse himself. He did recuse himself from voting on this project as required in by the bylaws, so there would not be an appearance of any conflicts of interest. The project came back to the table after the contract award because there was an increase in material cost, and the contracted company asked for an additional $200,000 to build the fence by proposing different fencing materials. Andy Nicholson had concerns about the proposed fencing material due to children that would be active at a neighboring property. The new proposed materials would pose a safety issue, Therefore, Andy felt obligated to offer his opinion. Andy Nicholson's expertise in this area was necessary to inform the commissioners of safety concerns that this action could cause had he not given the input. The company ended up installing the materials in the original contracting bid, which provides much more safety knowing that there will be children close by to the property. Okay, go to F. Rick Morris, member of a political extremist group.
Bless you.
During this investigation, it was discovered that Rick Morris is a member of a political extremist group. I have spoken to multiple members that have left this group after they learned the real objectives of the group and left because of moral issues.
That's fine. That's fine.
You'll be asked to leave.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
This group meets regularly and makes plans to attend town hall meetings, commissioner meetings, and any political meeting to verbally harass, take photos, and video to attempt to twist and manipulate what the target person says, and attempt to cause the target to get frustrated, angry, and act out of character in order to capture everything to make the target look bad. This activity should sound familiar to you, as we have all seen the actions and chaos that Antifa and other hate groups have caused in attempts to distract you from the enemy within is why, so they can continue to abuse their power to further enrich themselves and carry out their control agenda against the people. Summary findings. One of the first things I've tasked myself with in this investigation was to see if I could find good things Rick Morris had to say about Andy Nicholson. The answer I discovered was yes, Rick Morris had plenty of good things to say about Andy Nicholson. Rick Morris has always had good things to say about Andy Nicholson in his blog and in his comments and in news interviews and the commissioner meetings, all before this year's election time. Suddenly, when Andy Nicholson is running against Rick Morris, Mr. Morris's attitude did the typical flip-flop of opinions we typically see when politicians have been in office too long. Mr. Morris started a smear campaign against Andy Nicholson in attempts to divert the attention of what I could determine as Mr. Morris's failures with Life Bright Hospital. Evidence shows Mr. Morris may have a potential conflict of interest with the Riverstreet. He has interfered with the zoning process for a cell tower location that Rick Morris preferred. The cell tower issues, if found not to be a conflict of interest, certainly gives the appearance of a conflict of interest. This topic has been brought up by others in the community before my investigation. Mr. Morris's actions, along with the allegations towards Andy Nicholson, Mr. Morris states in his blogs since the 2022 election cycle has begun, are contradictory to what he has said in the past. After reading Rick Morris's blog, it's clear Mr. Morris is trying to redirect attention off of himself, twist information, and create false allegations against Mr. Nicholson that are completely unfounded allegations. Since this sudden, unfounded attack that Mr. Morris has launched against Andy Nicholson, there have been anonymous emails received from the Nicholsons attempting to slander the family. I don't believe it is a coincidence that the anonymous emails end as Mr. Morris typically ends his blog writings with a blowing sunshine in the air as though he just wants the right things for the good of the people. Mr. Morris writes in his blog about chronism, conflicts of interest, elected officials, expected character, and points fingers at everyone and anyone who questions him simply, instead of simply answering the questions asked about his own actions. As stated in this report, Rick Morris tried to stop a candidate from running for office by means of attempting to delay the person from reaching the elections office before the filing time. The candidates was being offered to be taken out for a state dinner. My investigation, conclusion, and opinion is based on facts from persons with firsthand knowledge with documentation and public records. My conclusion is that Rick Morris is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Mr. Morris is a member of a secret extremist political group that only wants their agenda instead of the people's interest and power and control. Any person that opposing them will be attacked, as you can see how Rick Morris has attacked Andy Nicholson and his family. This group has no boundaries, no ethics on how they operate, and will stop at nothing to gain or keep control over you for their own personal gain and power. My advice to every person who reads this report is to be aware of the left's attack on the democracy by infiltrating the Republican Party, posing as if they are longtime supporters of the party, when in fact they have built a legend of themselves that is false in every way. Look at their words, look at their actions, and you can see exactly who these people are. It is up to each of you to do your own research, talk with the candidates, question the candidates, and vote for the people you feel will best represent you. Although this report provides you with links to the issues at hand, opinions I've developed from my research, I always recommend verifying your information as you can make your own informed decision. Thank you for allowing me to come, well, he didn't come before y'all today, I did, and assist with providing the facts to you, the good people of Stokes County, so you can make informed decisions in November at your ballot place. Good luck to everyone, and God bless you and your community.
Do you want to do questions and answers? No, I got one more statement I want to make.
Mr. Nicholson would like to say a few words, and I think you want to, anybody got any questions after? Do you want to?
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and do this, I think this is what my answer was.
Okay. Still got 15 minutes left.
A lot of questions have been answered about some of the other stuff. And the reason we didn't go back in and read, of course, you're seeing on the screen is because the investigator's not with us. And I wanted him to more or less answer some of these questions that was arisen. So we're going to do it with YouTube, or if we want to, and if folks want enough of it, now we'll go ahead and do another meeting. And he'll be present, and then he can more or less extend this to you, and you get your own feel for what it is. So another thing comes up, and I think the gentleman just asked, and of course, I think the gentleman asked you tonight also, yes, those message boards, yes, they are company property. And the reason why the companies got involved is because the company was drawn in on these emails, okay? So I think it's the question out. Well, you got verified, okay? Thank you. In reference to the property on Pitcher Road, comment of a donation was made to his release of Memphis Sea Trail. It was made prior. In fact, mention of a donation was made during the closing of the property at the attorney's office. Mr. Berger can attest to it. Of course, the investigator has already investigated this, okay? So all you fine folks that really stepped up, took the other part of this, but due power, when they bought it, the actual land was supposed to go in Rockingham County. You know why Rockingham County didn't get it? It's because the people went to be objectionable on it, and that's why it ended up coming to Stokes County. They wanted a 5 acre, they wanted 2 acres. We found it. The plot was found for 10 acres. They said they would take 5 acres of it, but no more. I turned in and spent $20,000 of my money. I don't see a lot of these other people coming wanting to donate anything they want to take. And then to be criticized and to say to the fact that you took the land and you was going to make a profit off of it when I was actually getting it. And they said, well, why did you storm out of the courtroom over there that night? What would you feel like if you spent your money and going to do something for the county and help to get a landing and then want it to be scrutinized? Mr. Brown, I hope you really listened to this. Okay?
I've got several questions if I'm allowed to
Well,
ask.
and let me just go read the rest of this right here. Also, in reference to a donation to Cal Hall was made in a most public place in Stokes County, I stood up in the courtroom at the courthouse. The donation was part of a regular donation of some of the political leaders, and Phil Berger was the other one. I was accused when I give the donation that it's a bribe to the land on Pitcher Road because of some legislation that passed that Kyle Hall presented. Nothing was further from the truth. I indicated in the room that when I presented the check to Kyle, it was an appreciation of his effort in helping Stokes County, along with Pilberger, Dr. Braden, Andy, and others who were instrumental in getting the $10 million for the hospital. You know, I thought, if I could go ahead and give another $5,000 or $6,000 to get another $10 million, I would do it in a heartbeat. If it's for the people of the county and the hospital, I would do it in a heartbeat. And I'm going to go ahead and continue with this as far as the solar field. In addition to report of Lick Creek solar field, does it seem odd that an attorney would come to Stokes County to discuss a fence change? I mean, one of the most prestigious law firms in North Carolina is coming all the way to Stokes County to talk about a fence change on a solar field. That seems odd to y'all. Why? Lick Creek submitted to the county a proposal on what they were going to do before the solar field went in. In other words, they had to come. They were stipulating what they were going to do, what kind of field it was, how many, whatever, fence, what kind of fence they was going to put in. It was a proposal. It was what they said they were going to do. Of course, the fence being one of them. And including this fence, of course, was PVS slabs, which is a blind, which was supposed to be utilized on most road fronts and around any residential structures. And it's supposed to be installed in certain portions of the fence. They need to do as they proposed. So what's the real reason for the fence change? Could it be, and of course everybody makes this thing of the wildlife friendly, which it's not. It's solid rock, and I could go into what type it is. But the cost of this particular type of fence that they want to switch to is $2 a foot, as opposed to 8'9", 1.2 ounce, which is $8 a foot, $6 a foot difference. Also keep in mind that the PDS blind was supposed to be installed, of course, that can only be installed in chain link fabric. So that's $11 per foot. So that makes a total of $17 a foot difference. The job, it was 60,000 feet, so you do the math. So in other words, 60,000 feet times $17. Now you know why a highfalutin lawyer was in Stokes County? Like I say, trying to fool the public. Keep in mind also the fence is recommended for rural area installation on solar fields. With that being said, let's compare the two different types. Since Rick Morris indicated that it was a no-brainer, Solid Lot 2096 fence was developed for DOT use mainly around interstates. It was a 6-inch variable with a 3-inch variable spacing designed to keep animals from entering the roadway. Note 3-inch spacings were at the bottom of the fence to restrict small animal traffic. The use of the solar field reversing, putting 6-inch stakes at the bottom. This makes a perfect ladder. Any child could easily go right up this particular type of fence. And then on top of that, the 3-inch stakes at the top of the fence, the trap people, it ends up going over. The American Defense Association is also recommended, and that's where everybody gets their information. What's happening now with this particular type of fencing, when a deer starts to go over it with the 6-inch stays and 3-inch stays at the top, he gets his front legs caught. So then he's hung inside the fence. Same thing happens with a child. When he climbs up on it, it collapses. And they've done a display with the commissioners asking them how they was attached to the post. That is the main reason. And let's see, we're going through. Okay, these fields are located near housing apartments where kids are frequent. As we all see every day on TV, every 5 minutes you see an advertisement for an injured person. Anyone not familiar with lawsuits, lawyers typically name as many people, companies, and in this case, municipalities, that they can to an injury suit. This case, if they find the county, in other words, if they come in and a child got hurt and they pulled it, and then the attorneys found out that the county had went and left him put a different type of fence in, resulting in injury, that's going to open the county right up to a suit like you've never seen. because that, again, was originally proposed. Anyway, they let you. So in other words, taxpayers be put in the bill. Thank God our county leaders were brained enough to make the right decision and not be conned by a slick attorney. In addition, why was Rick Morris on the phone for 45 minutes with the attorney over the solar field the next morning? That was in his blog. Why weren't the other commissioners on that call? I don't understand. What was the conversation? I'm not going to put what I put on there because, explaining that he couldn't get his wishes fulfilled. Is that what it was all about? I thought the solar company was supposed to utilize all of Stokes County contractors on this particular contract. That wasn't the case. In fact, I don't think to say the least, the setup control fence was handled by a Winston-Salem contractor. Only contractor that I know that was used on that entire job. So, allegations, and I reckon I'm disappointed at this point about Rick Morris because of the blogs. Because the blogs were nothing but a blueprint for everybody else to go on the internet and let you people really scrutinize and really do, I thought, some of the bottom feeder stuff I've ever seen. But just remember, when you start going online and you're doing that, think about the other people. Think about the employees and think about the families. I don't understand. I pray for you. I pray for you. Thank you.
I don't know. We got two people with questions. You want to do questions or we have them come to you afterwards? Go ahead. Go to the mic, please. They're still taking notes and they're still recording, Susan. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I might do that.
And we don't want to make this long because it is getting late. So for 2 minutes. You have a period of 2 minutes, please.
You say you're donating to the county buying the land on Pizza Road? Why didn't you give the money to the county?
Do what?
Why didn't you just give the money to the county? Why did you buy the land in the Nicholson Farm name?
Do you not understand?
No, just very quickly.
Well, there's people back there that want to hear, I think, so.
Very quickly, like I said, do you understand that Duke Power was coming in to buy a portion of land?
They were gonna buy all of it. They surveyed the whole 10 acres.
No,
They
they
only
did
wanted
not.
5 acres.
But they
They
only,
wanted half.
No, they did not.
well, they surveyed all 10.
They might have surveyed it. I don't
They
know about
only
that.
wanted
Well, I do know
5
about
acres.
that.
Do what?
I do know. It's public record.
It is public record. They might have surveyed it, but does that mean anything?
It
They
means-
wanted 5 acres.
It means that they were intentionally gonna buy 10. Otherwise
No,
they
they
wouldn't
were
buy
not.
it.
Half.
Okay, well,
First
getting back to my
warning, you
original
know, I
question.
could have only had a deal work. This was not a
Getting back to
public.
my original question.
Yes.
If you're doing this to donate to the county,
Yes.
why either did you not donate the money to the county or put the land in the county's name to start with?
Because the whole idea about the land to start off with was to work with Duke Power. They didn't want the whole tract. So it was either that, you don't
Or donate the
understand.
money to the county and let the county buy it, or buy it and give it to the county. Now, I'm asking him right
You don't
now.
understand. Listen to this. It's 10 acres. 5 acres Duke Power wanted.
That's not the question.
If you'll listen to me.
I know.
So they were not going for a deal.
All right, hang on.
They went for a deal.
Let's show respect to each other. Hang on, you answer.
5
Maybe you'll have another
acres.
chance after.
They won't. They wanted somebody to take the other 5 acres. So that's the reason I didn't give the money. I didn't give the money. The objective is to buy the other part along with Duke Power to get in. Okay?
I see. Okay, now my other question was, does Will Carter work for the county, or does he work for Nicholson
I don't know
Farms?
anything about what the recorder does.
Well, I mean, Will Carter is the one that found the land supposedly for the county. So why would he have not taken that proposal back to the county Board of Commissioners in his closed session meeting that he had already been a member of and say, we found this land, Duke Power only wants part of it, but in order to keep the deal from falling through, is quote unquote what Andy told me on the phone, in order to keep the deal from falling through, how about the county go ahead and buy the other 5 acres? Why would Will not have taken the proposal back to the county of who he gets paid $77,000 a year for with no college degree or
I
background?
really, that's not my
So
business.
you rather for the taxpayers to pay
I am not gathering anything.
Hang on a second.
I'm just asking a
Hang on,
question.
Susan. You mentioned Andy's name. I think Andy should answer the question. And that'll be the last question because there's somebody else waiting to come into the hot box.
Very simple. The county had nothing to do with it. We were looking for river accesses for either tubers or emergency access, and it's recommended every 5 miles on the river. When Duke Power decided to come in and help out with this, if you go down on Pittsburgh Road now, you're gonna see some grading going on, you're gonna see some stone being laid down. You just got a free access to the river. It didn't cost the taxpayers one cent. Because one man right there says, you know what, I'll help out the county. He bought the other 5 acres, cost him $20,000.
And didn't have to.
And he could have given it to the county or put it in the county's name. He didn't have to put it in Nicholson Farms.
What difference does it make?
It's just an observation. Just an observation.
Please. Please. Okay.
He's not spending right there.
If you're helping the county, help the
If I
county.
had people like you all down, wouldn't put nothing in the county's name.
Well,
No, anyway, we got somebody else. We don't want to be here all night. Thanks, Susan. 2 minutes.
General Office 27576 Road, Watsonville. Just two quick questions.
Wait, order, please. Susan. Susan, please. Thank you.
Actually, one's a statement. I'm not sure legally.
Wait, hang on a second. Let me get, we have no respect for this gentleman talking. Thank you. Go ahead.
One's a statement. Can't get this solved tonight, but it sounds to me family members and commissioners should be excluded from every and all county contract bids. Okay, corruption stinks, not implying anything, but I think that's something that needs to be looked at. We'll get the proper people involved and present it to the Board of Commissioners. That would simplify a lot of things. The other thing is, wasn't this information about this property brought about in a closed session?
Yes.
I can answer that for you. It was brought in closed session. Anytime you have to consult your attorney about buying property, it has to be in closed session. The only thing that's brought to closed session was he was getting permission to go along the river for every 5 miles to find accesses to put in. That meant giving permission to go look for property. When he found this spot, the first spot that was originally looked at, it was where the bridge had been moved. You couldn't buy that because 100 years later, they got to move that bridge back over if it gets in bad shape. So that would have been a wasted part for the county to put an access point there. When he found the other spot, talking to the woman to see if she'd be willing to sell, it was 10 acres. But it's only recommended to have 2 to 4 acres for a river access. For one, it costs the county money to keep it up. For two, you're losing tax revenue off that. It might not be much, but you're still losing tax revenue. So when the woman said, I will not divide this up, I'll sell it all or sell nothing. Duke Power heard about what was going on. They were going to go help somebody at Rockingham. It fell through. They said, we'll help out Stokes County.
But it was mentioned in the closed session.
No.
No.
It was not. That part was not. The only thing that was mentioned in the closed session was going to get permission to go find land for river accesses every 5 miles down the dam.
Okay. That's all I have.
No party was present in that closed session meeting.
You'll be the last question. Come on up here to the microphone. You can applaud. Last question. Yeah.
The gentleman that
Close
just,
to the mic.
the gentleman that just spoke, said that the businesses should not be bidding on their family and stuff. My question is, was this solar lick project, was that a, taxpayer's property? Was that through the county? What was that?
The solar field was not through any kind of taxpayers' dollars at all. It was a private company that done this. The only thing we done was to prove to put it there or not, and if you go back and watch the videos, you'll see that every one of us had our position on it. My position on it was, if it ain't hurt nobody else, if somebody pays the taxes on their land, they should be able to do what they want to on it, as long as it's not devaluing or causing a danger to their neighbors. With this right here, now I don't look at this as economic development, but that whole land right there ended up becoming commercial, which means more tax revenue for the county. It was a help out. The families have no plans of doing any kind of other, construction on that property. They wanted to use it for this, so yeah, it's tied up for the next 20 years. We had, meetings where people were able to come speak on it. There was not much opposition on this, so therefore we granted it to the people. It had nothing to do with the taxpayers. Yes, we were contacted later on by the fence because we're a local fence company. That has nothing to do with it. That man put the price together on it. I did not. And was it a conflict? No, it wasn't. Attorney said so. But however, I didn't have nothing to do with it.
Who's the attorney that said that?
Ty Brown, the county attorney.
County Attorney Ty Browder. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for your enthusiasm, but I want to thank you more for the honor of letting me host this for you and moderate it, hopefully from my heart. I say a prayer, the hospital doesn't close. I'm sure your county commissioners and others will be around. If you want to go one-on-one, you're invited to. I now officially consider this closed and say Godspeed in your travels. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you.